All right, well with that, please join me in welcoming UnderBelly.
Thank you all for coming today. My name is Olivia Wisden. I am the co-founder and CEO of UnderBelly. Before we get started, I do want to tell you a little bit about myself, how I kind of came upon UnderBelly. It is our second venture. So previously to UnderBelly, I had a startup called The Vet. We connected young professionals and students to internships in London and Dublin. I did this for about 18 months. What I found was that, one, I wasn't super thrilled with the actual matching aspect of finding students internships, as well as I didn't want to work with college students all of my life, as well as what my passion really wasn't about internships. They were a great means to actually diving into a new community, getting invested in a community, and finding the things below the surface. And what we also found was that I love finding the partnerships, the interesting internships that we have. We work with underground businesses, we work with media magazines, we work with nonprofits, and I really love highlighting these people to a greater community. And so I kind of stepped back and realized that, was there a way that we could actually help someone immerse themselves in a new community without having to actually provide an internship? So that actually led us to the beginning of UnderBelly. So as I say we, there is a we. I have an amazing team. So you can see there's me. I'm the co-founder and CEO. I have my other co-founder, Tommy Schaefer. He is the magician behind the app. And I'm also really privileged to be able to work with my sister. She is, as you will see, our branding and art director. And as we go through this presentation, you'll see that that's actually quite a key role in our app, in our startup. So simply put, we are an app that answers the question, where's the cool shit? Now, that's pretty broad. So to give you a better idea of what we actually do, UnderBelly is a curated, personalized platform that connects the curious with local inclusive businesses and offbeat events. Now that's a whole lot of words, so to highlight a few keywords, these are actually what form the core of UnderBelly. So bringing it down. To start, the offbeat events. These are events that are going to be more community-based. They're off the beaten path. They aren't your big businesses such as Majestic or Hyman that have big teams behind them. They are the smaller venues, fundraisers, community organizations that are running them. By local inclusive businesses, we mean these are independently owned spaces, but also that they are safe for everyone. This doesn't mean that every space is going to be ideal for everyone, but everyone is going to feel welcome and warm when they walk in. And finally, secret sauce that we're really trying to work on is this personalized recommendations. We understand that not every space or event is meant for everyone, but that's kind of the point. Right now, if you go and search what to do in Madison, the same list of events are going to pop up, whether it's me or my dad. We're trying to change that. So a lot of this is pretty idealistic, but to actually see what this looks like, here's some screenshots from the app as it is currently. You'll see first, this is kind of what I've mentioned about dipping our toes into the data. So these are recommended events based off events that you've liked previously in our app. The center really is the core of UnderBelly, so this is the discovery page. This is where you find upcoming events, this is where you find the businesses that we recommend, and if you go to the far end, you'll actually see what a profile would look like on UnderBelly. It gives a little bit of a brief, a bio that is written by us, so it kind of feels more like your friend describing the restaurant than, say, an ad. As you scroll down, you'll actually see that if there have any upcoming events, that you can actually link to them directly through their profile. So while all this is interesting and kind of pretty, you're probably wondering how we actually made money. So we are an early stage startup. We launched just 2 weeks ago, but we have 4 different buckets that we're really trying to work on right now. So these are premium business accounts, content creation, partnerships, and then the data collection. Now again, these are 4 really large buckets to give you a better sense of how we see these revenue streams and what's in our pipeline. This fall, we're excited to actually launching a pilot program. So this is, we are working with businesses that are on our platform to figure out what additional features we can provide to people that would warrant a premium service. So these are things like last minute tickets that need to be sold can be pushed through the app, any happy hour specials, any way, give businesses a better way to directly communicate with customers who are interested in them. Previously to being an app, we actually had a weekly zine that we used for marketing and kind of getting our foot in the door with local businesses as well as users. We stopped that once our beta launched in June, and what we found was that both businesses and users were asking where they could buy and sponsor the zine. So we're super excited to actually bringing it back on a monthly basis through a subscription model. Again, kind of on the end of larger partnerships, we believe that because we are really targeting young professionals, that any tourism bureaus, boutique hotels, these people who are trying to get young professionals into their city or to their facilities will be interested in working with us. And then ultimately, as I've mentioned, we are already beginning to work with the data to provide recommendations. Now, until now, nothing I've said has been all that revolutionary. You can define events, you can find them on the Isthmus, you can find them through Facebook. In order to find business where you should eat, you can go to Yelp or Google or the plethora of other blogs and apps that exist. These two components are really what make UnderBelly special, our unique, authentic branding and our strong community focus. So as I mentioned, we did have a zine launching up to our app. What we found was that the more that we leaned into what we thought was funny, what we thought was interesting or heartwarming or weird or odd, the more our users responded. I also knew that if we were going to build a community-based platform, that we needed to have the full support of our community. So what that has meant is that the last year, we have spent building our platform and not using it just to highlight the amazing things that we're doing and the interesting events that we're hosting, but to really highlight those that are in the community on the ground working. And what we have found is that it's working. You don't have to just take my word for it. Here are just a few anecdotes from users about why they love us. But specifically, I want to read this one because I think it really encapsulates the importance of everything that I've been saying. You're promoting events that not only are fun to attend, but matter to this community. I love that I can access information that not only benefits small local businesses, but are also interesting to me and those I know. I love that at least half of the events featured also raise awareness or funds for charities as well. As a founder, I love this because it means that the things that we find is important are the same things that our users and followers think are important. But as a CEO, I love this just as much because what it tells me is that these 4 revenue streams become that much more valuable when we are creating not just followers and users, but fanatics. So, where are we going? So, as I mentioned, just 2 weeks ago, we actually left beta and have a full app both on Android and iPhones. Come January, we will begin starting raising funds because the big picture is we're going to be launching in Milwaukee by 2020. So, that is UnderBelly. Thank you all. If you have any questions, I would love to chat. Yes.
Is there really a pagan summer party?
There was, yeah.
Okay. I would not have known that.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to know is, you go on the internet to find a lot of this stuff. Do you automate that process?
Not right now. So the plan is right now we go and search ourselves as well as we take submissions directly through our app. So right now it is very manual. The goal would be that eventually, ideally, most people would be submitting their events to us versus us having to go out and find them. But that is as we grow both our usership and our connections with more kind of event organizers and creators.
Well, there is that technique called data scraping.
Yeah.
Curated uses that in their business.
Yeah, for sure. And that's as we figure out, have more hard. Right now, it's we're finally figuring out what are the key metrics that we need because we are curated, so not everything fits. And if you scrape all of Facebook events for the day, you're going to end up with 300 of them.
Sure.
Versus the 3 that we recommend.
If people start submitting to you, how do you narrow it down to the events that you're looking for?
Yes.
It's just now it's turned into a Facebook where there's an event.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So right now we have a couple very kind of guidelines that we use. Part of it is it has to be a smaller venue in the sense that you don't have a marketing team behind you. That is just because it's easy. Right now it's easy to get clogged. All the larger events get to the top, and so by the time you're on page 3, you're no longer really paying attention to the event. So part of it is your smaller venue like Communication or the Winnebago that are independently owned. The other is just, right now it's just kind of an arbitrary, like you have to have a limited, not as many people interested in your event, which seems like an arbitrary number, but the way with Facebook that if you have 1,000 people like, you're gonna get to the top. So right now we have just if you have less than 600 people liking, you are interested in you on Facebook. So right now, and also if you're serving the community in the sense of if you're a fundraiser, you tend to get a little bit more preference because we want to support that a bit more than just having live music or art galleries. So right now it is a very, I guess, labor-intensive decision-making, but as we grow and have more people kind of putting their say, we'll have more guidelines that besides the kind of main 3 rules that we have. Yeah.
It feels to me that you're going to be encountering chicken and an egg type
100%.
situation,
Yeah.
especially with trying to get any of the revenue streams running.
Yep.
What's your strategy for handling that? Is it the users? Is it the businesses? Is it, and
Yeah.
how are you approaching it?
That's 100, yeah. So that was our fear from the beginning. So we knew that specifically the customers we want to work with, which are small, local, inclusive businesses, are inherently difficult to work with. Not in the sense that they don't want to, just that they have a million other things on their plate and they don't want to be sold to right now. As well as for users, we're not really that useful if we don't have partnerships. So we decided that we were going to go in, and this is what we did was launch our zine, which gave us a product that we could give to businesses. That was we focused on local businesses, we highlighted events, local artists, nonprofits, organizations, as well as it was really artistic. I have some that I can kind of show you guys later today if you want to talk to me. And so that was our way to start kind of getting our name in, because especially with what we're trying to accomplish, which is, I mean, our slogans, where's the cool shit? So like we have to be the ones who know it. So we started by going after users and a very specific core group of users, which were kind of the more artistic side, kind of east side Madison, because they tend to go out a ton, they tend to appreciate the weird art that we do. So it's really been focusing on users and then creating relationships with businesses. So because our platform highlights exclusively what they're doing, it has given us a foot in the door to actually having conversations with places like Winnebago or Tip Top or North Street Cabaret, so they know us. So it's been get the users, basically give them just a platform to highlight their stuff right now, and then now we have relationships with them that we can actually start having the conversation. And so we have had conversations with businesses about these additional features, and they're interested once they're up and running. So does that answer? Okay.
I love that and we've talked about this, that who would have thought in 2019 doing a physical publication was the best way to launch an app.
Yeah.
And it really, while you're building, it really gave you the opportunity to have those relationships with your users and your business partners.
Yeah.
And build the app according to that. And it's fascinating because you went left beta, but you have all a year's worth of building
Yeah.
the user base and building local partnerships when
we hit the ground. Yeah. And that was part of what we wanted with the zines. So if anyone a zine is basically a self-published magazine. And we did 200 of them every week, and basically just dropped them off all around Madison, and allowed us to, figure out our branding. Previous to that, we knew we wanted this kind of bold, interesting, kind of absurd branding style, but had no idea what that would look like. Using a local printer and a very physical style of printing kind of led us to a specific brand. Also, what we've got responded from, we just had someone come up to us this weekend at one of our events and told us that we are the first brand that's connected to them, that they feel like that they're always being put in a box. And that because our brand is so vast and but still very specific and niche, that she finally felt connected to as a brand. And so this was what we've been working on for the past 6 months, was establishing an identity and having users who aren't just using us because we're on the phone or we're the next trendy thing, but use us because they support us and appreciate what we do, to the point that on our social media, we highlight 3 events every day. And we have over a third of our users look at that every single day, even though nothing really changes about it. It's always the same formatting, different information, but consistently have people tell us that they come to our Instagram specifically just to find what events are happening. So we are finding that we are not only getting people who download the app, but people who come to us to find out what's happening pretty regularly. Other questions? Yeah.
When you imagine how this scales, like either within Madison or probably this question makes more sense in other communities, it seems like you kind of outlined 3 ways that curation could work, like just in-house staff, time doing curation, maybe technology can do some of it, and then maybe the community can do some of it. I mean, obviously they can do the curation, but the content creation, I guess more broadly. How do you see those 3 breaking down? Like when you picture it scaled up and working in a half dozen cities, what does the mix look like?
So we've been really intentional about the fact that we have no interest in entering a community and then top down telling them where the interesting things are, because we don't know Milwaukee. Another reason we decided that we wanted to grow a strong fan base here in Madison and a strong brand here in Madison, would that be easier to then, as we go to Milwaukee, that people can look back and say, that's the kind of stuff. We have that stuff going on. So our plan is to then reach out, find the community members who are either attending these events, planning these events, know these things, and creating relationships and an ambassador program with them. That we want to make sure that when we're in Milwaukee, that we're actually using the Milwaukee members and Milwaukee locals to tell us what we should be highlighting, and so we will be then spending time creating relationships there. So we do plan, it's going to be a more, I guess, labor intensive process, because we don't have interest of just using Google, finding the interesting places that look cool on Google and then adding them to our platform. That we really do want to make sure that it is community focused, and the only way by doing that is to have the community entering stuff and working with us. Yeah.
This is more of a comment, getting back to what I originally asked. I think you want to think a little bit about how you can, again, go back to the data scraping and write algorithms that allow you to sort through that information faster, because if you start to expand, you hit the number one problem.
Yeah.
You're going to go to Milwaukee, you don't know the market, it's very labor intensive, and what you probably may want to think about is getting local partners in Milwaukee, Chicago, Minneapolis, wherever you go, and give them the tools so that it's easier for them to set up what they want to do. So those techniques are available. It takes a specialized talent, but you really may want to think about how you automate that data gathering part so that it isn't so labor intensive.
Yeah.
So you talked about raising funds prior to going into Milwaukee, branching out into a bigger city. Everything that you described sounds very people-centric, labor-intensive. Where would you see those funds primarily being distributed? What's the number one big challenge that you will need that money to overcome?
Yeah, so one of it is that we have a very guerrilla marketing kind of heavy practice, which does really attract the kind of users that are passionate about what we're doing, as well as the businesses that we want to work with. So part of it, that tends to be a little bit more costly, just in the fact that it's not just spending money on digital ads. But the other thing is, as we've discussed, is that it is labor intensive. So managing the team in Madison, we can handle that, and maintaining the app and the website, and all the information, and building the relationships and all of that, that's doable, and we don't need funds for that. But to be able to scale to Milwaukee, to be able to create those relationships, be able to do the marketing, be able to have the people on the ground, be able to, so that way my art director isn't only creating art for Madison, but has stuff for Milwaukee, or has able to train someone. That all just takes bodies, and to be able to get to the Milwaukee where we can become profitable, that we're just going to need some basic money to be able to actually pay ourselves. That way we can focus full time on this.
So lots of hiring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's some creative ways you can do that as well. And I think that your brand, you use the word fanatic.
Yeah.
I think you are going to grow fanatics, and I think it will be interesting what you can do with that. And the other thing that's really amazing here is you just sort of said it, like, you're not doing this full time.
Yeah.
You've been able to achieve, your team has been able to achieve all of this. You have a recognizable brand. You have a user base, you have business partnerships, you have a zine that's going out in a subscription, and you have an app that has gone through beta and is launched in 12 months.
Yeah.
While working outside.
Yeah.
So imagine what this team can do if they have the funding to be full on doing this. It's pretty phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, my team, again, my team is phenomenal. I'm fortunate to have insanely talented people who are passionate about the project, but also are really good at what they do, as well as community members who are willing to dedicate their time and their efforts and their expertise to making connections. And I think that does have to say about the fact that people are wanting what we're offering, that it's not just that we think that having local inclusive businesses are important and that the branding's cool, so it's cool and that's the next big thing, but that people really do have this strong desire for a sense of community and struggle finding it, and that they see that here in Underbelly that what we're trying to do is foster the community. And so I think that is why we've had such a success in creating fanatics that are willing to dedicate their time and their energy for us. Yeah.
The challenge that I see that I'm hearing though, and I'm making an assumption on the type of fundraising you're looking at doing. If you're looking at having your whole team go full time, you're looking at expanding into other communities, which you're saying you're going to have to essentially get ambassadors, partnerships, wherever. And if you're looking at fundraising, your expenses have gone from very little to very high.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, you need to make a sizable profit in order to
Yeah, so I guess when I say
to get those
fundraising,
fundraisers.
I don't mean traditional fundraising. I'm not looking to raise hundreds of millions of dollars or anything, because we want to grow intentionally. So by fundraising, whether that means, I should say, some initial capital. Right now we've been able to run off of a $5,000 grant from Joanne, which got us to our beta launch in our app, and then we were able to get a $5,000 grant from MadWorks. So we are running on we are a scrappy team that runs on bare bones. So when I say initial capital, I don't mean raising up $500,000, I mean getting $50,000 to really get some.
And that's kind of where I was going,
Yeah.
wondering too. Then this definitely is a product that is going to have fans, fanatics, and that to me just kind of screams something like a Kickstarter, where you get those people that really want you.
Yeah.
They want you to be around. They want you to be viable and growing. So they're more than willing to throw some money at that.
Yeah.
And then you don't have this big expense that's always weighing on you, and other
Absolutely.
people that are always telling you, giving you opinions on what
Yeah.
to do.
I guess I've never thought about Kickstarter because I've always imagined it as a product base versus a service base, but that's definitely something I'd be interested in looking at. Yeah.
To kind of add on to that, there are a couple models in town. Eat Street, Chefs for Seniors, and they've had the same problem. They've established a local brand, and now they need to move into other areas, and it does require more than just the brand.
Yeah.
It requires, labor, and it might be worthwhile to spend some time looking at how they did it. It would minimize the amount of capital that you would need to expand.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you won't need capital, but it will make it a little more minimal than if you just simply took what you're doing in Madison and tried to move it elsewhere. So I suggest you look at those two.
Yeah.
Just as how they did it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for presenting today, Olivia. So as a community, how can we help you, or what are your needs now in the next couple months?
So one is if you just tell people about us, we have an app, the app, and check it out. If you know people who are either locals or even if you're visiting, and you have friends who like to not just hit State Street, check it out, check us out. If you know we're also always looking for either partnerships with either organizations in town or anyone who's really interested in, if you're interested in tourism, in the sense that, while we don't focus on tourists, because part of it was the sense that if we wanted to expand to Milwaukee, as we expand, we wanted to provide recommendations. We knew that we needed to have you using us regularly to have the most accurate recommendations, but it doesn't mean we're not useful to tourists or people who are really trying to show that Madison has a lot of really interesting things happening. So anyone, whether that's with the city or whether that's with any tourism facilities here in town, any contacts like that, as well as if you know local business owners who would like to be in touch or have events, that sort of stuff. Okay. Any other last questions?
I know too, last week at Fort Fest, Matt made a good comment that the best thing we can do as a community is to download her app, right? Make sure that we're supporting the local app, so.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Let's hear it for UnderBelly. First off, sorry I'm late. Olivia, you're going to hang out for a little bit after your presentation, so if anybody wants to come up, grab business cards, say
Business
hello.
cards, I have zines, so you
She'll
can
be
actually
here.
see what that looks like.
Also, I don't know if it came up at the beginning, because of course I wasn't here. If you haven't already, grab the 1 Million Cups app, get it on your phone, and check in. And I think that's it. We have the other announcements. Great. I didn't have a chance to check in. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for coming.